How's it going, guys? It's Sam Welker from thinkparticle.com. This is the first time I've actually been on the camera in about a year, I think, for my tutorials. So just saying hello. How are you? That's good. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Really quick, you've seen the intro video for this. It's the first time I've used it. It's not that great. It's not really that good as far as design and composition. But I threw it together, thought it looked good, put it in After Effects, and put the words Think Particle on it next to it. I was like, maybe I could put tutorial under that and actually use that as my intro video until I actually make an intro video, so I did. So anyways, today I'm going to show you how to make it. Well, the Cinema 4D part, we're actually going to drop in, and by the way, this does use a third-party plugin. Be warned, but there is a free learning edition available. Go to jawset.com and get Turbulence FD. You've seen it before on my blog a lot of times. I mean, half of my tutorials use either Thinking Particles or Turbulence FD. Actually, probably more than half. But now that we're there, let's go ahead and make what we're making. So I'm going to pop off screen. Let's make a container really quick. By the way, version 1 is out if you have it. If you don't, you should get it. Let's see. Alright, we're going to start by making a plane and a sphere and a container. Let's make the radius of the sphere about 50 and then maybe 32 subdivisions and an icosahedron. We'll get to that more in a second. Let's make the width of the plane 50 by 50 and then 5 by 5 for the segments. We don't really need that many. Turbulence FD container, we can put it 700 by 1200 by 700 and the voxel size can be 15. Now before we forget, we need to cache the velocity, and let's compress the cache just for compression's sake. Be right back. Tutorial. New Facebook search bar colors. Whoa, I guess Facebook updated it again. We're not going to close anything. I tried it with closing, but I decided not to in the end. We're only going to change the vorticity and the turbulence. Now, in the past, if you've ever seen any of my tutorials, I talk about using more turbulence intensity. I usually put it like 20 or 16 maybe. That's ridiculously high. I've learned it's a lot better to not do that. So, like if you've seen my large-scale smoke simulation tutorial, turn it down a little bit. Temperature. The large-scale smoke simulation tutorial, for those of you interested, is a members-only tutorial on my blog. It's the only one that I actually charge you for at the moment, and I will be making more for members-only just because, I mean, I've told them I will. I just have been incredibly busy with work lately, and I haven't had the chance to make more tutorials yet. But if you are a member, you have every right as a member to contact me and say, hey, I need this tutorial done. Can you get it done really soon? And I'll make it as a members tutorial. For those of you not members, I mean, I will do what I can to make these tutorials for you, but can't promise them as easily. Set all of these to 0 except for temperature. Let's put that at 1. Let's put the force on, let's say 50 for directional force for Y. If you've been watching, I hope you kept up with what I was doing. I wasn't exactly talking about all of it, but like right here, we want to put the cooling for temperature at 6% and the buoyancy to 750. And then the directional force for the plane should be 50, so it shoots up. And let's grab the plane and drag it down 500 centimeters, holding shift so it'll snap. And this is R12, by the way, just so you know. It's what I have Turbulence FD for. So, at least that's what's installed right now. And then force on the sphere, important is -50. Let's actually try -70 for now. And then the container, we can actually drop it down to 25 for the voxel size. Let's try 5% on the opacity and auto fit. Actually, no, don't auto fit. And then let's turn it to 300 frames and hit simulate. So it'll simulate really quick. Not really quick, but it'll go. And what we're going to do is shoot the simulation up, and it's going to go up, and then it's going to hit right here, It's not going fast enough though, so let's stop it. Let's grab the plane. First of all, set the temperature to 2 and set the directional force to 150. Hit start, yes, create now. And then that'll go up a lot faster. And then we're only going to do it for the first 40 frames, and then it'll be more than enough. So let's go down to 40, and on the plane, hit the tag, and we're going to keyframe the temperature value, and go down to the next frame, and hit it, set it to 0. So once we're there, we can hit play, and not play, we have to simulate again. So we'll simulate it. And we don't really need it to be a realistically high value for the actual simulation. And that's good right there. I mean, it's a little different, but it'll work. Now let's grab all of these while it's still simulating, because we don't really need them. And hit Option G, and let's call it the TFD space TV. So thinking, Turbulence FD Thinking Particles. Well, the simulation's all gone, but it's still going, so I guess I'd still like to go. Okay, we can close it now. Under here we can see. We need to take the sphere and make it editable, and the plane editable. I'm not sure you actually have to make them. The plane doesn't have to be editable. I'm not actually sure the sphere does either, but just anyways, it's fine. We don't really need to change anything in this case. Don't make anything editable if you have to change it parametrically later. Do think about that beforehand. Oh, by the way, I must apologize. I do have a cold. Kind of. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'm just getting over it and trying to work through it, you know. So, yeah. So also, you guys might have seen this before on that really popular student film that guy did. This is very different from what I had, so we'll make it a little more sphere-like, but I do like that. One guy that did this, really great guy, really talented guy, and I'm not intentionally copying any of his methods if I'm copying them. I know he did a tutorial. I don't know if any of my methods are the same. I haven't watched it in a while, and I actually don't remember it, but I've been doing Thinking Particles and Turbulence FD long before I watched that, for any of you that are interested in telling me that I'm copying him. But anyone else, enjoy the watch, you know. So what we're doing now is grabbing the P fluid and grabbing the particles, which are going to be born from a sphere. So let's do TP standard, no, generator, P-born. So a P-born will do the simplest particles. They will just birth the particles. It doesn't have a position or rotation or velocity. So we'll have to put a position on it. So let's do the P set data, and then we will get the TP helper surface position. And we also got to get a volume position for up here, and then we'll qualify as the that will place the particles where we need them to, up here. For those of you that don't understand all of this, I'll get to it in a minute. Let's put in an X group. Right click. By the way, X groups are really good for organization. And really quick, let's get the particles, and let's add this to the position, and move it to the right. Move this down to the left. There, nice, right there. Okay, now grab this, put this as the object. Right click, port show names, make sure it's nice and clean. And it's nice and clean, okay. Then right click, convert to X group, right click, rename, birth particles. So some people add remarks. I usually just add X groups and keep it nice and organized like that. It's up to you. Okay, so we're gonna just not worry about the particle groups. We're not gonna give it a specific group. We will change it to dots, and I would like to change the color to something kind of soft and orange. But that's kind of the only concern right now. Okay, So you may be able to see there are going to be some particles on this, at least there should be. And let's set this to shot and 1200 for now. And let's go to 0 and go to 5. Actually, keyframe it. Go to the next frame and set it to 0. And if any of you notice that there are no keyframes right there and it's looking weird, just go to your timeline and there will be keyframes. So don't worry. I don't know if it's just you or just me, but it's funky. So we have our particles right here, and they are being affected right now. So maybe we want to say, hey, wait, we don't want you to be affected yet, right? Like, that could be important. Alright, let's move this up a bit. Let's move it up. Okay, grab these. Now we're going to get to the part right now where it actually tells it to interact. So we birth our particles. This is a p-born. This says, okay, particle birth. Okay, this is the particle for the set data, which is important. We set the data, and we're setting the position for the particles on the surface. So we birth the particles on the surface of this object, right? So this is saying, okay, here's our particles. The surface and the set data both need to say, okay, which particles are we talking about? And then the surface position needs to know an object, and then it takes the object's surface position and places that on the set data, and it works like that. And then we up here add force with Turbulence FD, which is really, really nice, by the way. For dynamics, you get really good looking stuff like this interaction we're getting right here. And you may have noticed these aren't connected to anything, but that's the only way to get them to actually show up right here. So we're setting them. So let's set spin, and I actually have no experience with spinning particles, but oh dear, they're moving. So what we're going to do is see, okay, it goes to about 45 maybe. So let's go to 44, set scale at 0. Keyframe it. Sorry guys if I keep on losing my trail of thought. Like I said, I'm sick, so I'm kind of a little unattentive. So now the particles shouldn't move until it actually gets to about frame 45, and then they're going to be right there. Ooh. Now that isn't what I had from my actual thing, and that's actually a lot closer to the thing that I was talking about earlier, the motion graphics the student did, but it looks really good, and that was my concern. So what I had earlier was particles that actually birth right there, and then they move a little before it actually comes up and hits it, but when it hits it, like right there, that looks really good. And by the way, very 3D, looks very good, and that's why Turbulence FD is a beautiful thing. Now here comes the fun part. We'll call this particles, and we go and right here select the upper part, and then we grab another plugin called Supertracer or Supertracer. Let's Google it really quick. Oh, here's my new blog, by the way. I'm doing Think Particle, but I'm also doing daily sketches, so if you're interested. Anyways, Supertracer C4D. So let's go find it. And I think it's right here. If you Google it, you can find it pretty easily. Google is your friend, guys. So if you scroll down, you can find Supertracer. And you can also use Supertracer, which is another one. Let's see if we can find that. We're going to use Supertracer for this one, though. Supertracer C4D. And I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the Supertracer, and under the editor, thinking particles. Actually, you will find them under objects. I think no, you will find them under simulation, thinking particles settings. And then you just grab the particle group, drag it in, and then we're really quick gonna set it to, let's set it to 5 and 35 for the lengths. Oh, actually, you know what? I lied. We might be using the Supertracer. Let's find out. Yeah. for the Supertracer, we actually have to do a few different things. So let's just really quick. We have to put geometry actually onto it. So let's not do that right yet. Let's put the particle group in. Set it to web. Set the minimum length to 15 and the maximum to 50 for now, and that'll keep it at a very low amount. So, okay, I lied. It's not low. Let's put it at. I'm hitting escape. It's not working. Let's slow it down a bit, and we'll put it at 15 and 20. 1 second. Gotta get there. Oh, the joys of having a frozen MacBook. We'll get there. Just a moment, guys. This is fun to do, though, you have to admit. Driving particles with fluid simulations. I really like doing that in Maya, because in Maya you can do really advanced fluid simulations really easily. Okay, maybe not easily, but once you get used to it, I mean, it's not as hard. And then it's actually really easy with the dynamic relationship editor. You can actually really interesting to use Maya. It's really complex, but it works. And that is why I like Cinema, because it's so much easier, and you know, but yeah, lots of fun. And there's also, if you're interested, look into Plexus. It's kind of like this effect, but for After Effects. Speaking of After Effects, I really need to upgrade to CS5.5, because CS4 is really slow, I found out, because I use CS5.5 at work. Sorry about all the ranting, guys. I'm trying to get this to work, and it's really being a player here. Not that I'm a player, but, you know. We'll keep it at a low amount for right now. Oh, dear. Oh, alright. I turned the particle count way up. So, let's go to 44. Because particles don't actually move till about 45. And then we can hit it, and it'll go. And as you can see, this is what's going on. And now here's the fun part. We're going to, whoa, that's awesome. So awesome. Okay, we're going to right click on the Supertracer and add a hair tag. And we're going to do hair render. And on the render, we're going to do line, I want to say. And then file, under materials, we're going to do hair material. And we'll drag that on. And under the hair material, let's just make the hair material just off white. Kind of a bluish tinted white. And then the thickness we'll set to 0.25 and 0.25. And then we have to make sure our render settings has hair render. And let's do anti-aliasing to best. I'm going to use Catmull for this. Right click and hit show help if you want to learn about them. My favorite is Mitchell right now. Or, yeah, Mitchell is really good. It's in R13 and it's also in Mental Ray, which comes with Maya. And it's also in 3ds Max, which is, oh, it's playing games with me. I think about Autodesk is when you reinstall your software, or like say I brought my Mac into the Mac store to fix it, and I got it back, and I had to reinstall everything. I mean, I have the software. I mean, I can show you right here. I have this and this, but anyways, with the software, it's tricky because you have to if you ever uninstall Autodesk software, be prepared to take a good week and a half to actually get it reinstalled, because you have to go through support and everything, and it's ridiculous. Or at least that was my experience twice, always with a hard drive failure. Not fun. I'm going to use OpenEXRs. I'm not sure everyone has access to that. If not, just use a TIFF, PSD layer, or a PNG. Don't use QuickTime movies unless you have like this amazing machine that's never going to crash, because they're not reliable. Yeah, just a thought. Kind of crazy perspective on this. It's ridiculous. But anyways, let's add a few target lights. Oops. And let's go zoom out. and click on the light, and let's make sure the fall off is set to inverse square, and let's open the width a bit, and then change the intensity to 80. Oops. Okay, trying to orient the scene. I don't have the grid on, so I always forget which way is up. Let's call this the rim light. So let's make a few more and name this rim. Let's tint it a little blue. And let's give it soft shadows. And then let's take these two right here, tint them a little orange, and drop the intensity on both of these to about 55, and set soft shadows. Hit E, drag one to one side, and kind of a little back and lower. And then grab the other one and just drag it over. We have 3-point lighting set up. Yay! Grab all of these, put them under lights, under an object and call it lights. Grab a camera. And we can select the Supertracer and just move around it. Okay. Now in my video, I must tell you that the camera actually does move, so it moves up, and something for like the Supertracer, we might want to, we need to go really quick, forgot something, particle birth. Particle birth, we gotta make sure it's at 300. After that's done, we're good. Okay. And then we might want to actually change the amount. So let's say 45 and 50. So we'll get there and it'll be big. Or maybe we could do something like 15 and 5, which would be much cooler. And it'll take a little while to prepare it because the particle quantity is huge. Whoops. Z, move it, didn't want to move it. So that's a better number. Let's go really quick, just for speed's sake. We'll go into the particle born, the p-born settings, and then go down here. Let's zoom in, and right here, frame 6, select the keyframe, and it's set to 0, and the one right before it is set to 1200. Let's just set that to 500, and then we can minimize that window. The timeline, don't need it. Okay. And now we'll have, whoops, okay, much better. Okay, now let's set the focal length to say 50. I guess that'll work. Whoa, what? Don't want to set the aperture width to 2. That's a little intense. Okay, there we go. Oh, okay, going a little fast there. The particles move around, but that's realistically how we have that fly off. That's a really good way to get this tracer effect. Now that we have this prepared, we're going to hit render. And holy crap, that goes fast. I have to admit, that goes fast. Okay, so let's do 2.5 for the minimum width and 20 for the max distance. And just let it go. Let's go to 40 and then hit play, because realistically, if we go to 0 and then go to 40, nothing really changes in the actual important parts. The simulation, which is cached, by the way, so that doesn't really matter as much, isn't going to be affected because it's cached. And the only part that would actually be affected would be thinking particles if we move the timeline, and that doesn't play nice usually, but they're not actually affected by anything until about frame 45, so we don't have to worry there. So that looks really cool. So now what we do is we have our render settings set up, we can save it, and let's go right down in here, and then we go make a folder, TFD, TP, so Turbulence FD, Thinking Particles, and we'll call it 2 because I already have one. TFD, TP2 is what we'll save it as. Oh, we want to put that in the render folder. Render folder, and we'll call it render01, and then we will save the file under there as TFD TP2. Save. And I'm going to hit render and talk to you a little bit more about this. So we're rendering at 720p because HD is awesome. Oh, by the way, Control Tab maximizes and minimizes. If you're in like After Effects or something, you just hit the tilde key, which is next to the 1 and above the tab. That looks really good. Okay, so that's what we get. We get a little bit of depth, and it just looks really sick in like a really awesome way. Okay, now output, let's do all frames and render. Okay, so we aren't going to use the first 5 frames, but once those are done, dude, that looks so cool. Not to be like geeking out on all of you, but I'm geeking out on all of you. This is amazingly awesome. This is so much cooler than my last render. Ugh. No, I wish I used this instead of my last render. Just kidding, it's all good. Anyways, so now we have awesomeness, and realistically it took something, maybe 30 minutes, 25 minutes, okay. So here's our Espresso setup. Let me go over it once more. We birth the particles on the surface of the sphere, and we use a set data to do that. We could also have done it inside of the sphere if we wanted, and that would have been really easy with just a volume position, which is also under TP volume, TP helper. It's P volume position, which we use right here. So we have our fluid container, which is needed for the P fluid effect we're going for. If we want to drive thinking particles with the fluid, what we have to do is take the particles, which the P-borne particles are under the particle group of all. We have a particle group of all particles. All thinking particles are put under the all group. The P pass, which is used in this case to represent our particles right here, is set as the particles for the P fluid and the volume position. And the volume position says, okay, hey, here's our particles, and we got to put them inside of this object, which is the object of the TFD container, which is actually putting it inside of the fluid, I think, and it affects it because it's inside of this container. And then the P fluid actually drives it. It adds turbulence and sets the velocity scale. And if we turn add turbulence off and just did velocity scale, we wouldn't have had to keyframe it, now that I think about it. So maybe next time we'll just do that instead. But we birth the particles, and we have a lot of particles, by the way. And they don't move until we get to frame 45. And then they all move up. And then we use the Supertracer plugin to make them do this awesome stuff. And there's a lot of these. And they'll like appear and disappear a little bit, but honestly, it works, right? Let's render that really quick. So this is what it looks like before, and it has a very non-uniform shape, which is why I used the deformer. I was very interested in getting a non-uniform shape. It just makes it more organic. And then there we go. Okay, now really quick while this renders, we're actually going to, it's at frame 8, so that's going to take a little while. Maybe I shouldn't render frame by frame. Let's go to the render settings and set it from 45. 40. Okay. Save, render. Yes, stop it. Okay. And let's go under here. Okay, now we're going to go into the Finder really quick and go into Think Particle, TFD, TFD2, render, and we're going to delete the first 7. So, why does it have 70? Oh, it shouldn't have 70 either. Okay, it's not actually rendered any yet out yet, so we don't need any of those. We'll empty the trash. I have my other render from earlier, so I've got a background on it as well. This one I just rendered does not have a background, and this one right here, it had turbulence enabled, so it does move. You can tell, and then the fluid comes up and it kind of pushes into it, and there we go, and it kind of creates that effect, and the camera is moving up and back during that. So let's watch this really quick, and it's gonna play the audio, which by the way I made in Ableton Live for those of you wondering. There was just something I threw together really quick, and I did add motion blur. I'm going to show you how I did that. So let's grab this project file, and I think it'll work in CS4. I don't know if I did this in CS5 or not. Let's see. Right click, get info. Maybe it'll tell us in here. I think it's a CS4 file. No, it's not. Maybe. Well, it will tell us definitely when we open After Effects. Okay, so as you can see, we have this really thick thing right here. And it looks cool, but it's thick. It's actually got some weirdness with the aliasing. It's got some aliasing issues around the edge, but no matter. Alright, we're almost done here, guys. If you can be patient just a little longer. Okay. Oh, and we are still waiting. Just 1 minute. I'm going to take this moment just really quick to do a... Oh, it's not in here. Quick shout out to iDesign on Twitter and his website iDesign.com. Really awesome guy. I've worked with him for the past couple weeks on something called Text Edge Effects, and it's a really nice plugin. We are updating it about weekly right now. The updates are about to slow down quite a lot, so we can just get the bigger... We're doing all the little bug fixes right now, and we'll get to the bigger stuff soon. But, basically, we have really awesome, beautiful text with bevels and everything. It really catches light nicely. For $15 you get nice looking text every time on c4dtools.net, so check it out. Anyways, so the reason this right here is taking so long to render, as you may have noticed, is I'm using Time Warp. Another shout out to Joran Kindle of the pixellab.net, I want to say. He did a piece on motion blur in After Effects, and there's a few plugins, but this is the one I chose for this one because I don't have any third-party plugins for motion blur because I have put my money into 3D instead of 2D compositing. But and then there's the shutter sample rate, which is set to 4, and the shutter angle is manual for 360, and that's just the Time Warp. And then the only other thing I changed was the speed to 100, and you can watch his thing on that. And it takes a little while to do it, but you get to it, and you have motion blur, which makes it look really good. And then I've done some color correction, just a tiny bit. And then each of these bits of text has a little glow on it, just to add to the atmospheric effect. So let's let that go in. Let's turn the effects off right there. It's still going forever. And there we go. Hitting tilde will maximize that. And yay. Fun. Okay, save and quit, and we'll go back to cinema and see where we're at, and then I will let you guys go. So it's moving. Now, just keep messing around. Some of the things you're gonna get might look a little intense like that, like the quantity of particles versus the variation in distance. Like if your Supertracer is set to, like, the minimum distance is quite far off from the max distance, like it is right here in this case, you're going to get a very strong, thick look right there. And it might not look good immediately, but like eventually, where it really counts, like right here, it's going to look really great. And it looks really cool. And then you can go add something like a vector blur in After Effects, which is what... I don't remember his name, but he did it as well in his student tutorial. I really want to look it up. I will put it in the description. But anyways, so that's it. That's how you do it. Guys, I kept on forgetting what I was saying, so if I missed something, please tell me in the comments, and I will be sure to correct it. I was very tired today from work and being sick, but I'm still doing tutorials. I really wanted to do this one because I really wanted to drive thinking particles with fluid simulations, because it was a request, but also because I really wanted an excuse to put the tutorial intro on a video, so that's realistically the only reason I did this. Oh, and to help you guys, to help the community. That's actually why I do all of my blogging. The only blog I do for personal matters is my Tumblr blog, samwilker.com, which is... or samwilker.tumblr.com is also personal, but I don't update it that often. But yeah, so this is my personal sketching blog. And by the way, I'm not really that good at drawing. I'm okay, I guess. I'm not like the best out there. I'm getting really good though, comparing myself to a month ago. But anyways, that's not what this tutorial's on. So I hope you guys had fun watching. I hope you guys weren't too bothered by my ranting as usual. But thanks for watching. I'm Sam from thinkparticle.com, and I'll see you guys later.